Uh, Hi, everybody. It's just me. Venita is on her way in. Here's Kim. Kim.
Hey. Hello.
I don't hear you either. What is going on? Let me see. Real tech. Say something again, Kim.
Hi, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Nope, I'm not hearing you. I'm not hearing Venita.
I
Venita
hear
just went
you.
out and is trying to come back in.
I can do that
Um,
too.
I had to go out and come back in. She is trying to switch over to her from her iPad to her laptop.
Yeah, I heard
Do
that
you
part
hear
of the
me okay,
conversation.
Kim?
You sound great, and I heard Venita. I heard the conversation you were having with Venita.
I'm not hearing you at all.
Oh.
Hmm,
Hmm.
let me look at the settings. It's just me. Speaker. Okay. Okay.
Maybe you want to
Now
try
I
it
hear you.
now? You
No,
hear me?
I hear you now. It was mine.
Wonderful.
Let me call Venita back.
Wonderful. You saw Leonie's message, right?
I did. Venita,
Yeah. I hope she's okay.
yeah, I'm going to check the iPad. It's just my browser's on state. I haven't used it for a while, so. No, go use the iPad. Kim is here. I had the same issue with her, but it was something on my system that I had to change. So try to come back in. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna stay on the phone till you get in. Oh man.
Hey, Michelle. It was nice seeing you
It
on
was.
Sunday. Very nice. I
Did
I
you
did I
did you
did see. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Did you make it to Marlon James?
I did, and it was a rewarding conversation. It's just that he wouldn't keep talking in the mic. I wish I was missing some of his words. I was like, "Put the mic next to your mouth, boy."
Right. Yeah. Where were you sitting? Oh,
As you come into the church, I was on the far right, in the middle.
oh, well, you must have been close to me, but I didn't see you. That's about
Oh,
where I was.
yeah, I was actually on that the last little aisle, that little part, not the
Okay.
center aisle, but the smaller aisles.
Okay. I was like right on the center.
Oh,
center.
good.
Yeah. But you're right. It was a little difficult to hear him. But it was a very interesting discussion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to change the subject, but Kim, you look so cute.
Thank
You
you. The
you
new
looking all
do.
cute and everything.
Oh,
Not that
thank
you don't
you.
always look cute, but you got that extra going on. I don't know why you looking all cute.
Well, I'm glad it's not on the inside, on the outside. I take it. I'll take it.
We got to use what we got, Kim. We have to use what we have, girl. We got to use what you have.
That's right.
Who's that, Gio?
Hi, Gio.
Leo,
Hey, ladies, how you doing?
good.
Fine.
How
How
are
How
you?
you
you?
doing?
Okay, doing all right.
Good.
Good.
So,
Yeah, well, Gio and I were just saying we got to see Marlon James um, this past Sunday as a part of the
What?
Brooklyn Book Festival.
oh,
Yeah,
For real? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
yeah. And
Okay.
I decided not to ask a question, Kim, because it was such a large venue, and either you had to go up to the center, to get the mic, or stand where you were. But my voice is not that loud, and I didn't feel like screaming. So I said, you know what? Unlike Harriet Washington, who I met a couple of weeks ago at a bookstore, which was a very small venue, very much more intimate. So, yeah, he was there. It was a dialogue between Marlon and Joyce Carol Oates. And they had
Wow.
yeah. So, he's done so many other things since NightWomen, that NightWomen, I don't even think it came up in the dialogue.
No.
Yeah,
Oh.
So we are. Leonie, of course, was supposed to be tonight's facilitator, but something happened, and so that's not going to happen. But we are here, and fortunately, I do have some notes. I didn't have a chance to get them uploaded for you guys, but I'll read the summaries for the 2 chapters that we're on, chapters 23 and 24. And we may as well go ahead and get started. And so I will say, welcome everybody to the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle, where we are reading the book of NightWomen by Marlon James. We're more than halfway through. This is session 12 for us, meaning it's the 12th book that we're reading together. We'll be on this book through the end of October, and you can learn more about the Global Black Feminist Reading Circle on YouTube, where our archives are maintained. And we also have a page on Facebook. And so let me see. Let me find some for chapter 23. And this is just like kind of just to remind my old brain what I read. Chapter 23, Lilith's conflicting feelings for Quinn alternate. Oh, you know what? Before I do that, let's introduce ourselves. I am Michelle Odom, and I'm located in Brooklyn, New York. And Venita came in next. So, Venita.
My name is Venita Walker, and I'm joining you from Cromwell, Connecticut. Welcome.
All right. And I hate this delay. Kim.
Hi, I'm Kim Brandon, and I'm in New York.
Welcome. And Gio.
Hey, everybody. I'm Georgette Moses, and I'm joining you from Columbia, South Carolina.
Yay! All right. Back to the summary. Let me see. Where is it? Where is it? Okay, Lilith's conflicting feelings for Quinn alternate from wanting to share secrets with him to killing him on the spot. Lilith continues to struggle with the burden of keeping 3 secrets: killing the Rogers, the plot of the NightWomen, and Miss Isabel's nighttime meanderings. Her love-hate conflict with Quinn is interrupted by McCluskey's attempted rape. Quinn saves her and shoots and fires McCluskey, slave driver. Lilith is traumatized. That night, Quinn finds Lilith in the field, but as angry as he is about that, his shock at seeing Isabel's night riding is greater. Lilith now realizes Humphrey is a monster, and she struggles with her own identity as a mulatto and allegiances to either side of her heritage. And then 4, Quinn gives Lilith the silent treatment and she misses him. Gorgon tells Lilith of the meeting tonight. Lilith helps Isabel unpack her new dresses. Lilith runs to Quinn when he gets home, but he is still angry and hurt like a man that she kept the secret about Miss Isabel from him. He wants more equality with her and explains how the Irish are seen. Homer and Callisto call on Lilith for missing the meeting. We learn Homer had Circe and Francine killed to protect the movement and to protect Lilith, in whom she sees the killer instinct. We also learn how Homer's children were killed as she tries to help Lilith understand what the struggle is about and Robert's place in the system. Lilith breaks one of Quinn's family plates, and he responds angrily at first, but calms down. And Isabel intervenes to have Lilith moved from Quinn's home back to the main house to care for her. But he isn't having it and confronts Humphrey. Isabel chats with Lilith like they're girlfriends as she tries to learn how Robert is in bed, the size of his cock, and what advice Lilith has for a virgin like herself. Isabel reveals some of her own familiarity with Obia and thoughts about seasoning Humphrey's soup with her menstrual blood. All right. Those are our chapters. So, anybody want to jump in and, I guess we're doing it tonight like open book. Just you can pick a passage and read a passage if you want. If you have a question you want to pose, maybe just to give ourselves a little structure, we should go one chapter at a time. I don't know. I don't think it matters. Anybody?
I just wanted to say quickly that I'm so glad that you mentioned that Lilith is a mulatto, because in the reading I keep forgetting that. It's like when I think of slavery, and I know these are people who are enslaved or who are in the house, so it should be easy to remember that they are the mulattoes. But I just keep seeing these dark-skinned women. So I'm just so glad.
Lilith has been described as dark skinned with woolly hair, but green eyes. So I don't know if you saw the video that I posted of a black girl talking to Dr. Phil, and she's darker than anybody here. But she thinks that she's white. And so I think that whatever kind of mental health challenge that may be, that Lilith has some of that going on. I think anybody who was in the house or anywhere else with Lilith would clearly see her as Black, but that ain't really how she's seeing herself.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Lilith, I still love her, but she just trips all the time.
Yes.
I don't even know what to say about Lilith. She just makes me smile because she's so innocent,
Mm.
you know, when she's tripping. And you can't
Mhm.
even get mad at her because she's just so.
Mhm. Well, let's what about the conflict that Lilith is having um with Quinn? How do you all feel about that? Is it understandable? Is it reasonable? Is it unreasonable? She goes from wanting to share all her secrets with him, um, really to wanting to kill him, you know, immediately. Um, how do you think you might feel in that position?
Well, I have to say, I really appreciate you posting all those different articles in relation to the subject matter tonight.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And so I think that article you posted about the battered woman syndrome and intimate partner violence really plays into this because you don't really think about it that because you're presented with a relationship inside an environment that's totally contradictory.
Right,
Because you Lilith is a piece of property. He's using her, and yet he's not only using her physically for what she can do for him, he's using her emotionally for those other things that he needs. And then he goes
mhm,
ahead and admits, well, that Irish are considered worse than, you Negroes. And I'm like, and she can't understand. How is that? Okay, because you white as a
right,
white man. Wait, man, you know, I
right,
don't see anybody whipping you. Okay,
right,
and taking your children and selling them off. So
right,
it's a
right.
lot of cognitive dissonance going on in this world.
Yeah.
The world of Lilith and how she tries to make sense of it. Really, from the outside, looks like schizophrenia and
Mhm,
some other mental illnesses. But I think
mhm.
they're all kind of suffering from that because how can you? And I'm going to look at Quinn for a minute because that's what intrigued and perplexed me how you're taking possession of a woman, but still she's an object because you're taking possession of her. But you still
Right,
have emotional feelings and reactions to the things that she does and what you think because he gets jealous, right? When he
right,
discovers she's out of the house, you're trying to run away, or you gonna meet some Negro. All right,
uh-huh,
well, how long you had these feelings for? Okay, like that. But
right,
but you let Humphrey beat her, and then we find out from Homer the other side of Quinn when he's in the white world. Who he is entirely different from who he
right,
tries to be in that home in that isolated environment with Lilith, and so he's suffering from some split personality going on there. He's trying to have this happy little home, an emotional relationship with a woman who
right,
has no power, has less
right,
than no power. Okay, so it could never be
right,
equal.
right.
So how is she expected to do anything but what she is doing, which is just react to everything. She's just reacting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She's in a hard spot. Anybody else want to talk about that? Lilith's conflict with Quinn?
Well, she depends on Quinn for protection also. You know, um, it's so complicated with her. It's like the abuser, you know, and the person being abused by that person, but still does not want to leave him. She's in that same position. He is her protection. Although Lilith can protect herself pretty much by herself, but but by her being with Quinn, it shields her, you know, from doing the other Negro work that she's above, being she got green eyes, so she think. Um, so, you know, it's just a lot of emotions there. I'm not even sure if it's love or it's codependency that they think is love.
Mhm.
Think Quinn's feelings for Lilith are genuine?
I think they're genuine, but you can still, I think it's very easy to confuse love with codependency.
Mm-hmm.
You can love a person that you're codependent on and doesn't mean you're in love with them.
Mm-hmm.
You see couples every day, both may be black or both may be white, and they're together for 40 years. It's not because they're necessarily in love with each other. A lot of it's codependency. And not saying they don't love each other because of the codependency. It's like almost like, what choice do I have? When Quinn has to go out into the white world, he has to take on the white man's persona and beat the Negroes and do all these other, you know, things, which I don't know how he feels about that. You know, he might not, you know, maybe something he doesn't even want to do, but he has to assimilate in order to survive as a white man among the white men.
Mhm.
Then he comes back home and he can pretend, if that be the case, and or genuinely have feelings for her. But what I'm trying to say, they both dance a dance and they both fill in the void. And it could be construed as love when actually it's codependency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think for me, I'm not sure at what point the Irish were considered white, but I'm not sure if he's considered white yet. And the only reason why he has this job is because he has something over Humphrey's head. So he is, low. I mean, there were just signs and things at that point that says we don't hire Irish. So they're in a country where they're not wanted. And so all of a sudden he has this
Right.
job and now he has to figure out who he is and how he's going to be in this country. And now he has a house and he has slaves to govern. And he finds one and he says, "Oh, you can take care of me." And I don't know, I think close proximity and loneliness, I think he starts developing feelings for her. But I'm wondering if that some of that is playing house, in terms of, in order for him to feel like if there's a woman here, I have to have these feelings towards her. But if something better came along, that an Irish woman came along, what would happen to Lilith? And the other thing is that he flips too much for me. I mean, if you say you're in love with somebody, you're gonna have to stop hitting on them. You're gonna have to stop jumping bad all the time. He
Well,
keeps falling back.
remember this is 1800, so that's how they roll.
Yeah.
You know, if you were a woman, you were not much better than a slave.
That's right.
That's true.
Period.
Yeah.
And they didn't have 9 millimeters then either, Kim.
That you could whip out of your purse or your
Right.
garter.
That's the thing.
Yeah. What was it? Out in the field when he started choking her?
Yeah.
When she went out that night?
Mm-hmm.
I think the same night that McCluskey tried to rape her,
Mm-hmm.
because I was thinking, wow, Lilith's really having a bad day.
Yeah,
For
either
real.
she had real good days or real bad days. There's no between for Lilith,
Yeah.
for sure. But I think that
So
codependency comes back too, is the fear of her not being there. Again, he does feel beneath the other white men. Because, they consider him, the nigger of Irish people niggas. Point blank.
yeah.
I mean, we had they right in the United States of America. We got a big population of Irish in Boston today that don't play with you like that because of that. But
Yeah.
he had a lot of insecurities. He didn't want, I mean, it's that codependency. She's a slave, Negro woman. He's an Irish man that's not on the level with the other white men, as low as they were. But, it's that insecurity. They're kind of like, it's that magnetic draw towards each other, whether she's a master and she's a slave or not. He don't have nobody else, really.
Right.
Mhm.
And then how prejudiced are they in Ireland? I don't know very much about Ireland. I do know there are a lot of black folks who's mixed with Irish. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe in Ireland at that point, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? If they even seen black people, much less if they have the same, attitude. Were there slaves in Ireland?
No, I don't believe they. I think they had indentured servants, and they could
Okay.
have been any color depending on where you were
Right.
from, but they didn't
Right.
have slaves.
Right. I thought that'd be the case.
Mhm.
From my reading, I don't know a lot about Ireland, but I thought that was the case. So maybe, he's playing the role that he has to play to survive among the white men, but maybe he really doesn't feel that way. And after you have to do what he has to do for a living, once in a while, he forget and kind of grab Lilith around the neck and choke the shit out of her a couple times.
He brought his work
That's
home.
He brought his work home with him, and all of a sudden, next thing he talking about love
yeah.
and come sit down and have some dinner, you know. But I think it's a lot of
Yeah.
codependency going on there. I think it's love. I think there's some feelings, but I do believe a lot of it's codependency.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they depend on each other for a lot of stuff.
but Lilith is so traumatized. Remember that scene where after McCluskey, tries to do what he wants to do, and then
Yeah,
Quinn comes in, he shoots him in the butt, and then Quinn comes to comfort Lilith. He touches her on the shoulder, and she screams, and she is traumatized.
yeah, she
Mhm.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, that's not the kind of thing that you can just. I mean, well, it's indicative of her entire life, right?
yes,
Right.
Everything she's been through has been one trauma after
after
another,
another.
whether it was physical or emotional or
Yeah,
psychological.
yeah,
She's having to deal and navigate this treacherous terrain while Homer and the rest of the night women are trying to get her to be somebody they want her to be to fit into the plan. So,
Right.
you know, so
yeah,
she's really outside but inside, right? She's outside of everybody's scheme, everybody's normalcy, but
Hmm.
she can't escape physically from it all.
Right.
no.
Right.
McCluskey scared is really, really, it was horrifying for her. Remember, she
Mm,
killed a Johnny jumper behind that,
that's right.
and still end up being raped. So she been through, avoiding rape by taking a Johnny jumper out, and then also too then being raped. So that girl been through
Yeah.
hell. And then when he come busting up in there talking, on that bullshit, although McCluskey don't know her like that, he don't know Lilith like that.
Right. If she
And
had had a
Quinn,
cutlass,
right,
right?
Quinn might have saved McCluskey, really,
Yeah, for real.
because Lilith, that was a very sad scene. That was very, very sad scene. Very
Yeah.
sad.
Mm-hmm.
But I did have a look up feelings and that's the first time when I really felt that there really must be some feelings. Because he told McCluskey he wasn't playing. Quentin was not playing. I don't care whether love or codependent, whatever it was, he was not. You do not touch Lilith. Even if I choke her, you don't come in here touching her.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
He was not playing at all.
Now,
Yeah.
what about on page 285? There's this sentence. He called her name again. Lilith want a woman to tell her about man things, what man want, and if she must desire him, desire as the Bible say, but her head heavy. She have three burden, and have to let go at least one. So what about this burden of keeping all these secrets? The secret that she whacked the Roger family, the secret that the NightWomen are plotting a rebellion, and the secret that Miss Isabel is riding at night. Did you all see the link that I posted about how keeping somebody's secret really can be a mental health challenge for you?
Yeah.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
of course.
I,
I didn't
I
read the
didn't. I
article,
didn't.
but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't see the link. I was just trying to get here on time, so I didn't have a chance to look at some of the stuff. But I would give up Miss Isabel if I had to give up. If I had to give up one, I would give up Isabel. Right quick,
Yeah.
no discussion, because she can't give herself up because that's death. If she said that she's a murderess, then she will die that same day if she reveals that. So Miss Isabel and her little whatever she's doing at night. And I wish they would tell us. I hate the fact that I don't know. No.
Yes.
So I would give girlfriend up.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, Lilith is in such a precarious position because anything she does, can lead to her whipping or her death. You
That's
know,
true.
like remember her with Master Roger. All she said was, "Then you ought to shuck your own cock."
And she whispered
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. A stage whisper.
Next thing you know, she's in the fight of her life. So I can see how, from her perspective, she doesn't know what she can say and who she can say it to.
Well, she knew she couldn't say that without having to kill him. Lilith ain't that crazy. Matter of fact, she didn't know she had said it. She was talking out, didn't even realize. I don't think. Because you know Lilith don't have no control like that. Sometimes Lilith, that's why I love her. Lilith think, well, did I actually
Right.
say that? And he's jumping up. She said, yeah, I said it. Bam. Yeah, I mean, I think she's just talking
Yeah.
out. I don't know. Lilith is she is damn if she do and damn if she don't. But to
Yeah.
go back to the question, Michelle, keeping secrets or people
Yeah.
having a lot of secrets, it's always damaging. I think it's equally damaging, more damaging to the person that has to keep it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I really do. I really
Yeah.
do.
Well, Lilith is certainly having a hard time with it.
And then she's a young woman too. You know, how old was Lilith at this point? She's still young. She was 15. Was she
Yeah.
at 17
She's
or
Yeah.
no more
18?
than about 16 now. Yeah.
Yeah, she's like 16 years old. She's not, seasoned like Homer and the rest of the women. After a while,
Yeah.
you got so many secrets. One is no different than the other.
Yeah.
It's a good point.
I mean, that's a heavy burden for her. She's only 16 years old. I can't imagine, you know, being 16 years old and having to keep those kind of secrets. She's young. That's one of the tough parts about it. She doesn't even understand anything about anything. She hasn't been here long enough.
Yeah. Well, she understands enough to know, you know, she needs to try not to slip up with any of that.
Well, of course, when she's looking out the window, every so often they bring him, coffins by. Yeah, you get to understand it real quick.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean, that's just, she has to protect herself. But I'm just saying,
yeah,
with age comes a lot of things, the hardness. You've seen so much, you've done so much. Keeping secrets, by then you got a million of them.
yeah,
But for her to try to do that at 16 years old, I would think that just the age alone, much less the environment, would be a lot. and trying to figure out how you're going to
And
stay
as you
alive every
said, she
day.
doesn't have a lot of control, self-control anyway over what comes out of her mouth.
No, no,
No.
no.
Well, if
Next.
difference is such a burden, you didn't have that. The article that I posted was a modern day scenario, but certainly in Lilith's era, early 1800s, being a Black mulatto slave girl, you didn't have the option of going to talk to a psychologist or nothing like that. None of them did. I guess that's why Quinn was trying to turn Lilith into a friend and a confidant, and Miss Isabel was trying to turn Lilith into her girlfriend. But today, do you think it's better for people to unload themselves on a psychologist or to unload themselves on a friend?
Psychologist. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sometimes I think it's better to have a neutral person, for a lot of reasons. For one, they can be more objective, probably, than a friend can. Sometimes, and also too, sometimes it can be too much for a friend. Sometimes sometimes I just could be just overburdened. It can be a burden. It really can be a burden.
Yeah.
Well,
it certainly was for Lilith, and Lilith was dealing, really with some heavy stuff. I mean, the fact that you killed the entire Roger family, except for Isabel, and burned down the entire estate. That's that's a heavy load to be worrying about somebody finding out about you. And then the other big burden of the plot of the NightWomen. And obviously Homer don't play with you like that.
She don't play. Not at all.
so but what's interesting, that whole storyline kind of strikes me, almost like a gang initiation kind of feeling that I get from it. Because Lilith, not only did she never ask to know those things that the NightWomen are dealing with, she also very clearly said, I don't want to be a part of this. And so now, obviously this is war. This is the freedom struggle. This is the fight for their lives. And so, so there's an interest from a collective perspective, Homer's perspective. There's an interest that everybody's in, whether you want to be in or not. But clearly Lilith didn't have any agency over the decision about whether or not she was going to be in, whether or not she was going to have to know in her head that a rebellion is being planned. So in that, so in that respect, it felt gang-like to me, like, and so when I think about that, juxtaposed with the persistent issue of betrayal, so we learned that Homer had Circe killed just because she felt like Circe was weak, they couldn't use her. She might betray them, whatever, they didn't need her. She didn't have that killer instinct. And then she had Francine killed to provide a cover for Lilith, so that Lilith would not be blamed for taking out the Rogers. But and so now Homer basically is threatening Lilith with, you better not miss another meeting. You better not open your mouth about what we're doing. And you will be there. And we are going to use the special skill that we see you possess, that killer instinct. So, but I guess my question is, can you really force somebody to be supportive of a struggle that where their heart's not in it? Lilith's a mulatto in her mind.
Yeah, but maybe it's protection too. Did you think about the protection? Now, Homer been protecting Lilith for a while. And when you have a rebellion of any kind, either you're going to be a part of the struggle or you going down. So it could be also that Homer is protecting Lilith. Because if Lilith doesn't go along with this and do what she needs to do, then she is a part of the problem.
That's right.
Then they have to kill Lilith.
Mm-hmm.
Because the struggle's not going down for one person. Homer knows that. Homer been around a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be that Homer's protecting Lilith. In other words, you ain't got no choice. You're right. You have no choice. You don't understand, child, but you're going to come with us or you're going to become a part of the problem. And then you're going to end up getting killed because I might have to even kill you because I'm going to do this. And I don't even think it would be Homer, but it could be that she's protecting her. That's the way I saw it. I didn't see that it's really a gang-like mentality coming from Homer. I saw Homer trying to protect her. Like, Chef Child, you don't know what you're talking about? Girl, do like I said. Because you ain't going to be living long if you don't. That's what will happen.
And Homer did, I thought she was being very patient with her, trying to explain to her what the struggle is about.
Yes.
She shared the stories about how her own children were killed.
Mm-hmm.
And she shared, some of the inspiration, really, that the Haitian Revolution, then Saint-Domingue, was providing for the rebellions going on in Jamaica. She was trying to help Lilith understand what it was about, but she definitely was not giving her a choice.
Well, Lilith really is a burden if you think about it. She really is a burden to Homer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Homer don't have to even do all this stuff if Lilith wasn't there. So quite frankly, I think Lilith might need to be a little bit grateful. She's not smart enough to know that because she's too young, and then she, she got that mouth anyway, and she ain't trying to hear nobody. But she really is a burden. Period.
Yeah, but she got that killer instinct.
She got that killer instinct, but she needs to join them because over there, them white folks, they ain't got that that killer instinct, as they would say, as some of the savage black folks from Africa. So Homer told the right thing. Just be quiet. Come on, okay, just be quiet.
Yeah, but it's not at all clear to Lilith. She's
not clear.
Wait, how do you see it, Georgette?
Well, I like your analogy of Homer as the gang leader, and because I didn't, until the revelation about the death of Cersei and Francine being orchestrated by Homer, I'm like, oh, I thought these were coincidences. I guess not.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, they Homer reveals, we saw you in the beginning. We knew you was going to be a good murderess.
You know what? Those women do not help. They do not help.
Oh my goodness. So how do you I'm trying to put myself in the place of Homer and try to you recognize this child who is definitely damaged, okay? Because how do you just murder somebody the way she murdered that Johnny Jumper? Okay, so just a regular person might have just stabbed him. Now get away from me.
Right.
She went buck wild. She like, okay, she was slicing and dicing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how and then to like conceive in your mind a plan of how I'm going to harness all this crazy ass murderous energy without
Right.
it backfiring because it very well could, she could have gone off the deep end some other kind of way. And
Right.
so she kind of, controls and tries to guide this loose cannon that Lilith is
Mhm.
in the best way she can, and it kind of works. But Lilith still has inside of her this double-mindedness because
Yeah.
she doesn't have the benefit of seeing the whole entire picture. She
Right.
doesn't have the benefit of knowing the history of the place or of her people
Mhm.
outside of this place or and inside of this place. And so her understanding of events and how people act and react is based on just what she sees. And so if you're like rocket, I mean, they've been conditioned to like, if you're doing anything to rock the boat, you're wrong and your ass gonna get beat or killed. So that is how she responds to things. That's the way I see it. And then you have Callisto who's ready to throw a knife in her back. And look, you ain't with the plan. If you ain't down with us, you're gonna really be down. Okay.
This is what I'm saying about them hard women, them hard ones. They've been out there in that sugar cane.
Yes.
See,
Oh
the
my God.
girls, no, they've been out there in the sugar cane, getting beat all the time.
Yeah,
Okay,
right,
living a
right.
little life. But them other women, they've been down like that. And
Yeah.
Homer, all of them been down like that. You
Yes.
know? So
Mhm.
and also too, remember Homer, somebody said something, and Homer said, oh, she shut him down. She said, meet the head nigga up in here. I said, oh,
That's right. I run this joint. I run
yeah.
this.
Remember, Homer had to, she said, hold up, wait a minute now. And that's why Homer decided, like, Francine got to go down and Sarah got to go down. Yeah, she had to let them know. Somebody had to keep folks in check around there.
Yeah.
But
Kim,
Callisto
how
was
are you
something else.
seeing it?
Hmm?
Well, I think that Homer wasn't always Homer. So when she talks about her being in love and pregnant, she didn't appear to be the same Homer that she is now after the whippings.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think what she sees in Lilith is this possibility of you developing this thick skin the way she has developed this thick skin. And I don't see it so much as a gang. I see it more as a military operation where Homer is strategically looking for soldiers, and there's not a whole lot to pick from. So she sees Lilith, and she's like, I need her to become a soldier, because the third point in my mind is that Homer knows that if they are successful and they can murder a percentage of the white people, their jobs are no longer to pull anybody's cocky. All of a sudden now the whole world has changed, and that's when the real guns are going to be pointed at these women. So I think Homer knows that we're starting a war here. And nobody may wind up on their feet. We may all die from this. So I just think that Homer has like the big picture where she knows that, if anything goes wrong, all of them will be murdered. Just like you had told us about the what was it in the book about the rebellion that had gone wrong because the wet nurse didn't want to kill the baby, so she told.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So Homer kind of knows that any little slip up she did.
Yeah.
So I just see Homer as so brave, and she's my girl. She's just like, I may not be here next year. It's almost guaranteed that she's not gonna be alive because the guns are gonna be pointing at her head. So
Yeah.
I just see Lilith as somebody who may not get up to speed fast enough to see what Homer sees.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, and then Quinn is messing up her head,
Mm-hmm.
in terms of what the battle really is. So, but shoot, you took out a whole family. I would be recruiting you too. Yeah.
I mean, Dilla, she didn't try.
Yeah.
She wasn't really trying to do that, but she did think enough to know that she couldn't leave not one of them alive. Cause she thought
Yeah.
about it for a second,
Yeah.
and Lilith said, "No, no, even those picnics gotta go."
That's right.
Because she
And she
did think
said,
about it though, if I remember
no.
correctly. It ran through her mind, and then Lilith said, shit. I can't take no chance. But she really, I don't think she set out to kill everybody. I don't think she even set out to kill him. I just
But
think the
once
one
she
thing,
started to kill him, remember she was looking for Isabel.
but no,
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
not saying, one thing didn't lead to another. And
There
that's
you go.
why, yeah,
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
one thing has led to another. You know what, Kim? Girl, Kim, I'm thinking about all of us being there. I was just trying to imagine that.
Oh
No.
no, I agree with you totally. That she didn't ever say she wanted to kill these people. She would have
No.
been in the tub with that guy for another couple of years. But the way
Right.
things happened, they all
That's what,
started to escalate.
that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I
I
hear
Yeah.
think
you.
Sarah would have
I
did the
hear you.
same thing. Of
I hear
course,
you.
I have to drag Michelle out of there.
Why you gotta drag Michelle?
Yeah.
I don't think
Michelle
so,
be talking
you
about
all.
getting the books out the library. Let's get
Ah,
some of the books out the library.
okay. Okay.
Before we go.
I don't know. Y'all didn't see that poster. Venita saw it,
Yep.
of the astrological signs and who talks stuff and who can really fight.
Mm.
Sagittarius on the fight side.
Yeah, it said the Aries can't fight. And I don't know.
I don't know who made that little crap up. I
No,
don't know who made that
good
up.
was we can fight. We just don't have time. It's beneath us. But if we have to go that route,
Wait,
we turn to Lilith.
that don't even make any sense, Michelle,
They make
because the
sense.
fire sign has Mars as its planet, the god of war. Okay,
Yes.
just don't turn us loose. We try to
Don't touch
stay calm, but if you open that door, we right through it. Hey, what? You want some of this? You want some of
We
this?
bring the Lilith out.
And you know Georgette, when Georgette put that head down on the side, the whole house
Venita.
coming down. She gonna burn the house down.
You playing
Yeah.
Parliament Funkadelic in the background. Yeah.
Kim, what side are you, Kim? What side
I'm
are you?
Capricorn, so I know that that's not true.
Oh, you're Capricorn.
True. Because I was saying to myself, "Now, wait a minute. Who wrote this thing? Who wrote this? Where they at?"
I said, well, now that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
And Michelle definitely not just Michelle, you're not a fighter. Michelle will talk you till you die.
Well, okay,
You be like, oh God.
it's indirect
Yeah.
violence. You talk
Oh
them
God,
into
you like you shoot me
suicide,
in
and
the
that's
head,
what's going
Michelle. Like, but no. Let's take it from the top.
on. Let's take it
Okay.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
man.
sorry, Michelle. I'm not trying to use you as an example. I don't want you to get mad at me, but you know it's the truth. I've been like, look.
You don't need to bring that zodiac thing up ever, never, ever again.
Ever again.
I don't know what you was thinking with Lilith and Homer at this
me.
Yeah. Anyway.
What can we say about these? There's a lot of denial going on in the chapters. Lilith is still trying to deny that she killed the Rogers, even after Homer was telling her, "We know you did it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we know you did it. Stop. You know, stop. I had to have Francine whacked in order to protect you. You know, but it's not me."
How did Homer do that? How did Homer get everybody to believe it was Francine?
Well, Francine had been at Montpelier getting some mentorship from Homer on how to make the special tea for the mistresses. Mm-hmm. So Francine had just left Montpelier. Mm-hmm. And now I don't know how Homer knew what time the fire started at Coulebrae, mm-hmm. But she was saying to Lilith, Francine had just left Montpelier when the fire started at Coulebrae. So I know there's no way that she could have had it done, that she could have did it. So, you know, when they caught Francine, when the militia caught her, she was heading back to Coulebrae, mm-hmm. from being with Homer. And so that's why the militia, instead of thinking that she was coming home, they thought she was trying to run away. Right. So, you know, so I don't know, but Homer had a whole communication network going on. Yes. Maybe there was a slave that escaped from Coulebrae before the fire consumed. Maybe he got the word to Homer, you know, that your girl done
Right.
your girl done did the deed.
Yes. Because she did have connections, I'm sure, between
right.
She had a people.
Right. But that's what happened. The military saw Francine and thought she was coming back. And probably because Homer did have connections, she probably could have sent somebody to stop Francine from walking into that scene.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But instead no, let just let that child go on.
Yeah.
Yo,
Bach will know
Francine was
what
too
to do.
sweet.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
felt bad. That's it. Nothing. That's what I was discussing with Shell the other night. It must have been horrible being a slave, and every second of the day you had to watch for the baccarat, you had to watch for the Johnny jumpers, and watch for your own people.
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
Because Homer had no problems making those slaves sacrificial lambs
No,
at her will for whatever she might have seen fit.
yeah,
So they were equally disposable to her as they were to the master.
right.
I think the difference for me is Homer has a plan, and she's looking at sacrificing one for the many. So I think that that's how wonderful Homer is that she would say, well, in a year now we got to kill these white people, so I may have to sacrifice Francine.
Yeah.
And that's good if you're not
And that's
Francine.
for me,
Yes, 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 yes,
I
yes.
don't want to be your sacrifice.
If not Francine.
I mean, I think it's wonderful that you have a plan, that you're going to execute, that you're going to pursue freedom and yada, yada, yada. But and this is where I think um, that Black folks or people who seek freedom have some thinking to do, because certainly chattel slavery is an extreme example of of uh, uh, of not being free, and you need to do whatever you need to do, make whatever sacrifices you need to make, um, to secure your physical freedom. Um, but I think more generally speaking that if that if we're not developing a clear concept really of what we mean by freedom, then I don't know how we'll ever get there. I don't know how we'll ever get there. And so so for example, um during the American Revolutionary period, the late 1700s. Um, or I'll give you a better example. Since it's related to this book more closely, the Haitian Revolution. So one of the things that was going on during the Haitian Revolution was a revolution that was going on in France, where they were fighting for liberty and justice and equality. Um, and so the people in Haiti, through the communication network, the Black people in Haiti got the word, and were sophisticated enough to understand what liberty and equality and justice meant. And that's what prompted them to start saying, yeah, we're gonna fight to the death too for our liberty. Um, but how is it if you're a French man and you're on the side of liberty and justice and equality, what is going on in your head that you're not also fighting for that and wanting that for the Black Haitians? Or in the case of the American Revolution, how is it you're fighting for your own liberty and justice and freedom from England at the exact moment that you are enslaving the Black population? that you have transported over here for that purpose. So that's what I'm saying, that people have all of this like mishmash, it seems, that goes on in our heads. You see some of it. That's why I was starting to move to a question around denial. Lilith is denying the reality of what she did. Miss Isabel wants us to believe she's a virgin. Try saying that with a straight face.
Ah.
and so there's just all of this, and I know I'm rambling, but I'm trying to get us to think through, how can you achieve freedom using methods that deny people their freedom? And that's why I'm pushing us about, Lilith didn't have a choice about whose side she wanted to be on. What she knew was she was being pulled from all directions. Well, say something.
I mean,
Well, that was a very accurate analysis of the situation there, Michelle.
There you go. Sugar on the ice cream.
But but we see it all the time, don't we? That the people who are oppressed and who finally decide to, mount a rebellion or try to change the circumstances, they're just only concerned with themselves. And so it's by any means necessary. And you never look at yourself and what you're doing that resembles your oppressor.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah, they got to get theirs. So as they're trying to resemble the oppressor.
Right.
well, that's what we deal with in 2019. It never stopped.
But is there a difference between the level of urgency for freedom? Because I think that when you look at people who are saying, I want freedom from England, and then you get here and all of a sudden you're free now, and you want to imprison somebody else from another country, you bring them here to
Mhm.
imprison them. I think that's different than being the person who is oppressed here and saying to yourself, okay, we got some hard decisions to make. And everybody may not get out of this alive. I think there's an urgency to the second one that the early colonializers didn't have when they're looking for people to plant their damn tobacco and cotton, and in the Caribbean, their sugar cane. So I say, as Malcolm X said, by any means necessary for Homer. You go ahead, you do what you got to do, use your everything. But I just see it differently than the Civil War and all of the other history. Now, once Homer gets into power and she becomes, the 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 leader of something that stabilized, hopefully she's not still sacrificing people.
Right. And that's I guess that's what I'm trying to say, Kim. When do you lose that taste for blood? Do you have that taste for blood?
Yeah. Yeah, Lilith has that bad boy.
Well, it's the survival of the fittest when you're a slave. That's why Francine went down. Because Homer didn't feel like she was the weak link. You got to go. If I had to choose between you and Lilith, I know Lilith can get the job done.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm not knocking Homer. Homer's my hero. She's tough as hell. You know, she even if she's hurt inside, that's a tough ass woman. She had to do what she had to do.
Yeah.
And yes, Francine was not, you know.
Either.
Yeah, you gotta make a choice. I would only choose you, Michelle, because I love you. But then again, I gotta drag you all through Mount Pierre. But I would drag her anyway. Like, come on, Michelle.
Okay.
Well, you get us killed in here. Don't make me leave you.
Right.
Michelle would be the last one leaving the burning house. That is the funniest thing ever.
She'd be the last one leaving the burning house. Michelle knows I don't play. I'm like, come
Oh
on,
my
Michelle,
goodness.
the non-fighter. Michelle be like, oh, are we going to kill the picnic? Michelle.
Oh my goodness.
I just read to one last night. He really enjoyed the book. And Michelle be the only slave reading over there. Nobody else that.
Oh my
Michelle,
goodness.
I'm not. Michelle know I'm telling the truth. She be that. I be dragging her along. Girl, please, let's go. I'm about ready to burn everybody up.
Well, at least you told her before you tell her before you set the house on fire. So that's good.
No, I'm gonna take my girl with me. But I know she be dragging in the doggone rear. And I'll be Lilith. And I'm gonna tell you, the little different she had to do. One thing led to another, and I can very well see that. She got to survive. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. So Kim brought up an interesting hypothesis, and that's if they were successful, in doing what they had planned to do, and now Homer would be the leader of this group of people trying to survive and govern themselves with, knowing that forces would be coming to, recapture them and punish them. How would she govern? And then would the night women if they survived, be supporting her? Or would, as often happens, some guy comes up and says, "You can't tell me what to do," and then she has to have Callisto take him out. Gorgon, get him.
Yeah, well, it would be that guy, who is it, Jackson? That may be another chapter. Anyway, go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, I think it'd be a struggle. There'd definitely be a power struggle because you got powerful women. It's not this Homer. And Callisto, now she gonna try to rule.
Yes, and then
right there, that's Homer's competition. If nobody else does anything else, Callisto gonna be a problem.
right, and then that brings back up, how do you stop doing things the same way you've done them to get where you are? That thirst for blood, and so how do you form some kind of democracy, or is it going to be, authoritarian?
Right.
Death. You said
Right.
what? Death.
I
How
think
do
it would
they
probably
stop
start out
that?
that way. I think it would probably start out authoritarian until you get things in check. It would have to.
Mm-hmm.
It would have to.
I think Homer would have all of her soldiers drinking her tea.
What?
I think they would all be drinking her tea. She'd have different strengths. She'd have different strengths between where you are in the army.
That's right.
He said, "Come on, drink that morning tea now.
Good
I
morning.
need y'all to act right."
Okay.
Yeah, it's something else.
Once a couple of spirits visit you at night, you ain't gonna mess with Homer.
All right now. Right.
You know what? Speaking of Homer, oh man, I lost my train of thought. We were talking about Lilith having to hold the secrets that she has to hold, at this stage in the book and being as young as she is. But imagine the secrets that Homer holds again.
Right.
Yeah.
Imagine the secrets that Homer holds.
Yeah.
And had to start homing from the time she was Lilith's age or before. Probably before, because she wasn't inside probably at some point.
Yeah.
Mm,
Well,
mm,
that reminds me of the way Homer and Lilith are always eavesdropping on somebody's conversation.
They know, yeah, they know this hell.
And so my question is that nosiness, or is that, essential survival strategy in the context they're in?
That is survival, being nosy. You got to know what's going on at all times. It's not nosy because they're bored, because they can work you to death. It's nosy because you have to know, and you have to learn people. You have to know your enemy. You got to know who you're dealing with. You got to look at the way they move. So no, they're doing what they have to do to survive. Because I know I send you out there. Go and listen, Michelle. While I watch the
oh
door
my
with the
God.
machete.
Yeah, and also in what I was saying earlier about all the denial going on.
Yeah.
Really, the only way that you can get to truth or to reality is to do that kind of eavesdropping that they're doing. So
Surveillance, right?
surveillance, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I like
That's right.
that.
try to imagine Lilith being in that conversation with Isabel without Lilith knowing.
That's right.
From her own observation.
That's right.
Is out riding at night. Imagine her standing there listening to Isabel asking her, "So what's it like, Lilith?"
Nah, that was too much. I mean, Isabel's just like, she's so disgusting. And then talk on the other hand, I'm a virgin. Really, Isabel?
That's all she can say because she's such a freak, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
She's
was
a
blushing,
very
Kim.
kinky girl. Go ahead, Venita. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I was telling Michelle that even, and I was blushing. I was like, wow. You know,
yeah,
don't much you throwing me, but she threw me. I'm like, really, Isabel?
yeah. That was strange.
That was strange, wasn't it? Like, real strange.
Yeah, but but fortunately, Lilith,
Was aware.
knows, because remember, it was Homer and Homer's the one that told Lilith back when
Right.
Lilith was at Coolabray.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Isabel and Massa Humphrey were
Mm-hmm.
doing the wild thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Lilith, so Lilith doesn't know at this point where Isabel is going in the middle of the night, but she's coming home in the morning with some funky stuff going on.
And Lil did not bite her tongue. She did not bite her
Oh
tongue.
my God.
Whatever
But
she's
Lil got a
doing, it
nasty
seems
mouth
like she's
too.
doing it outdoors.
That's what I thought. I'm like, well, you know what? She's not going to the Hilton, that's for sure.
No,
Let's
she's doing
just
her
hope.
running outdoors.
Let's hope some
Yeah.
pigs aren't involved.
Now see, Georgette.
I'm sorry, I just had to go there.
But
Because I just don't know what to think about Isabel. I just don't know what to think about her.
right,
I would
but
say tell us soon. Come on. I don't want to wait till the end of the book to find this out.
you'll find out. You'll find out. But at the same time that Isabel is in denial or is pretending to Lilith, that pretending that she's a virgin, and trying to get some advice from Lilith. She's projecting all of these stereotypes about the oversexed Jezebel, that the Black woman is, you know, the what would the boundless cunt, you know, the does he fill you up, you know, all of this. So what do you think is going on there in that conversation? You know, obviously Isabel doesn't need the information from Lilith because she's got personal experience. So what is it? Is she just curious about Quinn in particular, or what's going on there?
I think
She's
that
an asshole, period.
my thought is that she is trying to, I guess she knows that Lilith has Quinn's ear and that Quinn has Humphrey's ear.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that she's trying to plant the seed that she is presenting herself at the plantation or at the house as if she has scruples. So what she's doing with Humphreys, she's not presenting with the slaves. And so if she's hoping none of this comes back to Quinn. So I think she's just thinking that Lilith is an idiot and will go back to Quinn and says, "Oh no, she's a virgin. She said she was."
Mm-hmm. Oh.
You think
Okay.
so?
No, just I'm just wondering if that's what Isabel think will happen.
Right.
She
Isabel
could
doesn't
be.
know Lilith.
She could be
Isabel doesn't
innocent.
know Lilith.
Oh, that's
Right.
right. Because Lilith, yeah, that's right. Lilith is a dumb slave. So
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Isabel thing. So yeah, you're right, Kim. I didn't think of that. She could be being manipulative. That is true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm, that is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think of it
I'll be
from
right.
that angle though.
Me
I
either.
thought that Isabel being a psychotic person who loves to play with people physically and emotionally just wanted to torture Lilith. She
That's
wanted,
what I was thinking.
you
Yeah.
know, and
Mm-hmm.
so it makes her feel better, demeaning her and speaking to her that way, and then just casually letting her type of uh, um, uh, colloquialism slip,
Right.
when
Right.
she talks like the people, the black people in the
Right.
land, and then oh, did I say that? She's just playing with her because she likes to play with people psychologically. How she tortures Humphrey. Oh, give it to me, Humphrey. You're not a man. But obviously he doesn't play well. So who else does she
Right.
have to play with now except for Lilith? That's why she wants she tries to manipulate to get Lilith placed back under her power instead of Quinn's because she escaped her, right? She escaped having a slave at her beck and call, even though it was coincidental, and
Mm-hmm.
probably to control the information Lilith might have, just in case she
Yes.
decides to, loose lips sink slips. Well,
Yes.
Isabel been riding every night. Okay, I watched them funky. Never mind.
Yeah, she's probably being
you know
manipulative.
yeah, so it's a very interesting dynamic that's going on with all these characters. I have no idea how Marlon kept them all straight. I wish you could have been able to ask him that, Michelle. Oh my goodness, it would have been
Well,
so.
actually, he said, what did he say? He had a character. What is it called? A character chart.
Yeah, he
Um,
had
Oh
to.
yeah.
that did come up in the discussion. He said he had some
Wow.
kind of chart or application or something.
For
Um,
real.
he said he uses all that stuff, but then he throws it out. You know. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, you have to use something to
You have to. You
keep
have
all
to.
that straight. You know, there are a lot of different stories going on here.
He
Um,
also said, which I thought was fascinating, that he just writes the book straight out. Like he'll have a outline,
Uh,
but at the
mhm.
same time, he just writes the book from the beginning to the end.
Mhm.
wow.
It's no correcting anything until he's done telling his story.
That
Yeah,
makes sense. Free writing.
because he doesn't want
Ah,
internal critic to you know short circuit the process.
wow,
That
that's
makes sense.
interesting. Huh.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
talent. That's talent, man.
So
Yeah.
yeah. All right. I guess have something they want to point us to.
Oh, you know what I thought was interesting that you brought up, Michelle?
Hmm.
Quinn's reaction when he thought that Lilith had broken the wrong plate.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that you could kind of see a little of his history in that scene where, once he realized that it wasn't his last thing from his family, he
Yeah.
calmed the hell down.
Yeah.
well, it was his mother's plate.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah.
wasn't mistaken, the blue plates belonged to his mother.
Right.
So
Yes.
he asked
Hmm.
if she had broken it. I remember that very well because it was very. It was very touching.
Well, he was gonna beat
Yeah.
her ass if it had been the wrong plate now.
Well,
Right.
yeah, she was lucky. It wasn't the blue one. It was the brown one. If I remember,
He
Yeah.
was
she
lucky.
was real
He was
lucky
lucky.
because I kind of held my breath. It was yeah. He's like, well, okay, what's the? She said it's the brown one. Oh, because it was the blue one. That's what he wanted to explain to her. I was
You know,
like,
Yeah.
girl,
all these people
Lilith
are
always got
crazy.
that ass whooping. You notice that? She
Yeah.
said, look up.
So he was just like, "Oh, love, I don't have to beat you now. Oh, lovey, I
Yeah.
Yeah.
won't kick your ass tonight."
So I'm like, really? Who are you today? Dr. Frankenstein or Mr. Hyde?
Yeah.
Kind of
But
crazy.
that is just the patriarchal culture
It is.
of,
Mm.
of male female relationships going on then. You know, um, he'd have been, he'd have been hot if that were a white woman, you know,
And she
Yes,
broke that
yes,
plate. Yeah.
and she broke that plate.
that's
Yeah,
true.
he's but from Lilith's perspective, um, Lilith's been I think Cersei did not beat her, right? I think Cersei and Tam
Mm.
never beat her. So it's only since she's been out here out here on her own, uh,
Mm-hmm.
she's had to deal with all of these whippings. But she's had enough to last a lifetime
Yeah.
and several lifetimes. But so she doesn't know, if you're beating me because you're massa, if you beating on me, because you're the man and I'm the woman and you big and strong and therefore you have the right to beat me. Um, she doesn't know, why.
Right.
Um, she just knows that she is at this point traumatized, by all of it. But what do you think about the dynamic of him trying to get her to call him Robert, and she keeps saying Massa, Mass Rob.
Well, she has to remember her place. I think it's also too for her to keep her place because she is going through a lot. With the
Mhm.
hearing about him and then he's a massa, but he's Robert. So she really wants to try to still keep a little of that hate there and also keep her place.
Mm-hmm.
Once you start calling them Robert, what time you coming home for dinner? I mean, this is it's kind of
confusing.
remember what she said. She's still trying to keep some of that hate there. She has to try to remember she's a slave. So that's why she's just, saying to herself, no, you're still the master. I'm still the slave.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And with him, he's just lost his mind, period, I think. because I'm just, I'm like, Quinn, really?
Bewitched.
Well, that is what she said. You get bewitched.
Yeah.
Yeah, Quinn done got all whipped up.
I think it's sexier for Quinn to have her call him by his name than to be in these intimate moments and her talking about Masa, how's your eggs?
Kim, why?
That's true. That's true.
He just wants to have a good time. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but then again, you never know. I mean, Massa could be a turn on, but I guess not for Quinn.
Yeah, he has his own fantasy, his own thing that he needs. But he doesn't set the the ground rules to kind of say, hey, look, baby, look at here. We could talk like this in the house.
Yes.
We could talk like this even in the yard.
That's
Right,
yeah.
right.
But whatever you do, don't call me Robert in front of a white man.
Right. You
Yeah.
already slipped up and did that with Homer. She was like, Master Quinn, and then Homer was like, Master Rob.
Homer sometimes, Homer be, Homer, I remember that. Why she say Homer be being a bitch. She is so antagonistic sometimes. She is so sarcastic.
Oh, I love
Lilith trying to do the best she can. And Homer just sometimes, just for amusement purposes, when she get bored,
Yeah.
she'll be sarcastic to Lilith. I feel so bad for Lilith.
Goodness.
If there's ever a movie about Homer, I'm the first one online.
Yeah.
I just think she is just wonderful.
Yeah.
Did they describe what she looks like? I don't remember a description of her. Maybe it's been a while.
She's tall and thin.
That I would assume. But what was she? Was she mulatto? Well, what most people consider mulatto. Was
I
she
don't
very
remember.
fair skinned?
I don't
I don't
know.
remember.
I don't remember.
I don't think it
But she
described
smells of
her.
mint. She smells of mint and lemongrass.
Well,
That's right.
She's
but
tall and thin, and something happened to her breasts. So,
They beat them off.
yeah.
Yeah.
but they never described the color of her skin, whether she was
Yeah, he
mulatto.
doesn't do a lot of that, right?
No.
He
No.
doesn't.
Mm-mm. No, I don't think so.
Mm-mm. So, so all right. Very good. Thank you, everyone. So we are on break, right? Next week.
Yes.
And actually, my my daughter-in-law and my grandson are coming in this weekend from Germany.
Okay.
So they'll be here for a couple of weeks, and so they actually will still be here when we return on October 8th. So so you guys may get to meet them.
Wonderful.
Ah, cool.
So when do we end? When do we end this book? I thought it was
October 29th.
Oh, is there a new schedule? Because I looked at the schedule, it said that we ended in October, earlier in October.
I don't think that October 29th date has ever changed, but we're on version 5 of the schedule.
Okay, I'll look for version 5. I probably won't be able to come on the 22nd.
Okay.
Yeah. I've become a little popular in terms of this poetry stuff, so I have gigs lined
Oh,
up. Yeah,
All
I'm
right now.
popular.
All
okay.
right. All right.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, but I do have something in Harlem next week, Michelle, if you're around on the 5th. You want to come up to Harlem. I'll put something on Facebook.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. No, I should be able to do that. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on with what day is the 5th?
Do we want to take the live off?
Yeah. So we will return on October 8th. And in the meantime, we will continue reading our story together. Have a great week, everybody.
Have a good one.
Good night.
Okay.
Good
Good
night.
night, ladies.
Did it end? No,
No.
because I pushed the wrong